Swamiji, what is self-realization? What are the qualities of a self-realized person? Is a self-realized person always in a state of bliss? Doesn't he suffer anymore?
Is this one question? Or
No.
maybe
It's 3
ask
parts.
one question at a time.
What is self-realization?
In our, within our philosophy, the ultimate reality, which is the ground of all being, which underlies all existence, which permeates all existence, and which is the true nature and the true essence of what we are. So self-realization means realizing our true nature, which is identical with the true nature of everything that exists. This is what's called self-realization. So this is the answer to the first question. What's the next?
What are the qualities of a self-realized person?
The qualities of a self-realized person are described in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm going to ask Jnaneswari to recite those verses. It will not take long, but listen carefully, because these are the qualities of a self-realized person. You know, second chapter.
When a man completely casts off all the desires of the mind, and he is satisfied in the self by the self, then he is said to be one of steady wisdom. He whose mind is not shaken by adversities, who does not hanker after pleasures, and is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady wisdom. He who is everywhere without attachment, on meeting with anything, good or bad, who neither rejoices nor hates, his wisdom is fixed. When, like the tortoise, which withdraws from all sides its limbs, he withdraws his senses from the sense objects, then his wisdom becomes steady. The objects of the senses turn away from the abstinent man, leaving the longing, but his longing also turns away on seeing the Supreme. The turbulent senses do violently carry away the mind of a wise man, though he be striving to restrain them. Having restrained them all, he should sit steadfast, intent on me. His wisdom is steady, whose senses are under control. When a man thinks of the objects, attachment for them arises. From attachment, desire is born. From desire, anger arises. From anger comes delusion. From delusion, loss of memory. From loss of memory, the destruction of discrimination. From the destruction of discrimination, he perishes. But the self-controlled man, moving among the objects with the senses under restraint and free from attraction and repulsion, attains peace. In that peace, all pains are removed, for the intellect of the tranquil-minded soon becomes steady. There is no knowledge of the self for the unsteady, and to the unsteady no meditation is possible, and to the unmeditative there can be no peace, and to the man who has no peace, how can there be happiness? For the mind, which follows in the wake of the wandering senses, carries away his discrimination as the wind carries away a boat on the water. Therefore, O mighty armed Arjuna, his knowledge is steady, whose senses are completely restrained from sense objects. That which is night to all beings, in that the self-controlled man is awake. When all beings are awake, that is night for the Muni who sees. He attains peace, into whom all desires enter, as waters enter the ocean, which, filled from all sides, remains unmoved. But not the man who is full of desires. That man attains peace, who, abandoning all desires, moves about without longing, without the sense of mine, and without egoism. This is the Brahmic seat, O son of Pritha, attaining to this, none is deluded, being established wherein, even at the end of life, one attains to oneness with Brahman.
So these are the qualities or attributes of a self-realized being as described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. What's the next question?
Is a self-realized person always in a state of bliss? Doesn't he suffer anymore?
The nature of the Atma, the nature of our true self is Sat-Chit and Ananda, which means absolute existence, absolute pure consciousness, absolute bliss. So bliss is our essential nature. So when a person realizes his or her own essential nature, he or she realizes his or her own essential nature as unbounded, unlimited bliss. It's not something that is gained, it's something which is what we are, what we truly are. We do not gain bliss, we are bliss. Self-realization simply means that we recognize it. There are many, many layers of impurities in the mind that veil this fact from us. But those people that have realized the self, they realize the self as Ananda or as bliss. So yes, since the nature of the self is eternal, is not something which is impermanent, so yes, we can say that a self-realized being is always in that state of Ananda or that state of bliss.